Good morning, students. We are going to have a continuous session for cost-based decision making. In this modern world of management, many decisions are taken purely based on the cost. For that, clear understanding about the cost and how we need to use that information for decision making needs to be clearly understood. For this purpose, we are going to have continuous session of cost understanding, cost classification, and various decisions based on the cost. First, we will understand what is meant by cost. We will understand through the Excel application. First thing is what is cost. So during this session, we will be understanding what is meant by cost, how to segregate between fixed and variable cost, and why are we segregating between fixed and variable cost. That we will understand. So what is a cost? Cost means all the expenses required to create a product or provide a service. Here we are going to understand separately for product and separately for service. If it is going to be a product, there also expenses are involved for creating the product. If it is going to be a service, there also cost is involved, expenses are involved for providing that service. In both the situations, cost is inevitable. With respect to product, what will be the cost, and with respect to service, what could be the cost, we need to clearly understand. Otherwise, in many occasions, it is, since because it's not clearly understood, people are unable to understand the correct pricing. If pricing is not correctly understood, automatically we may not be able to get the target profit. For the purpose, clear understanding of cost is required. So what is cost is all the expenses required to create a product or provide a service. So with respect to product, what are the cost? And with respect to service, what are the cost? We will understand it first. Before that, we need to understand what is meant by product, what is meant by service. Product means any item which is tangible. Service means any item which is intangible. Any item which is intangible. Intangible in the sense we cannot see that thing, but we can feel. For example, we are going to a movie. We are enjoying the movie. There, whatever we are paying is to enjoy the movie, whatever they are showing. So that movie display is one of the service. So here, service doesn't mean that it is a charitable activity. Here it is the supplier or the provider of service is giving us some intangible item which we can feel. For that also cost is involved. That cost also we need to understand. So under service, what we mean is theater or banking operation. Under bank, we are going to bank, they are providing the banking service. They are not giving us any specific tangible product. So it is one of the service. And courier service, this is again a service. They are transporting material from one place to another place. They are not giving us any product. They are transporting our own product. So this is one of the service. Similar manner, beauty parlor is there. This is another service. So like that, various services are there. There also cost is involved, which we need to understand clearly. Then only we can price it properly to the customer. So cost means all the expenses involved in providing either of these services or any of the product. Product very well we can know. Either the product can be either a laptop or camera or any notebook. So all these things are tangible. Physically we can see, we can touch and feel. So we are going to understand what could be the cost for this product and services. Example are, suppose we are going to manufacture a notebook manufacturing. For manufacturing a notebook, various costs involved will be, the predominant cost is paper. paper and board. This is the main cost which is required. Apart from that, for printing the paper, plain paper, we need ink. So these are the predominant cost which is required. This is basically the raw material. Apart from that, we need the labor to convert the plain paper into the notebook. So this is your labor cost. That means wages to labor. Whatever the wages to labor you are paying is your labor cost. Apart from that, we need power cost. Power cost your expenses. That means to run the machine to manufacture the notebook, we need power. So power is expense, and we need to pay wages to the workers. It is the labor cost, and we need basic raw material. So these three elements are very, very required. So understand the point. These three elements are required for manufacturing a product. So then we can call this in cost term as elements of cost. So elements of cost means basically we have understood that cost means expense to produce a product or create a product or provide a service. Now we are going to understand what is the classification or elements within the cost. So these things are elements of cost are raw material and labor cost and expenses, without which we can't produce any product. So you need to understand, first thing is, to understand a cost, we need to know the elements of cost. Now we will see what could be the elements of cost with respect to service. We'll take any one example. We'll take the example of courier service. So for courier service, what is the raw material? Here you understand, only if you produce a product, there will be a requirement for raw material. If you are going to provide a service, there won't be any requirement for raw material. There won't be any requirement for raw material. Here also labors are involved. With respect to courier service, the delivery boy, wages to the delivery boy will be the labor cost. Then there also expense is there. Expense in the sense, for them predominantly the main thing is transportation. So the transportation cost, they can have their own vehicle to transport the material, or they can outsource that through some other transporter for whom they will be paying the expenses. So this is one of the expenses. These two are predominantly required with respect to courier service. Here there is no concept of raw material. It is not alone with courier service. Predominantly in most of the services, whatever we are providing, there won't be any raw material requirement. So you first understand that there won't be a raw material requirement with respect to provision of service, and there will be predominantly raw material is required for producing a product. So with respect to service, the cost elements will be cost elements for service industry is predominantly it will be labor cost and expenses, nothing else. These will alone be incurred. So now we have understood what is meant by cost. Cost means all the expenses required to produce a product or provide a service. Product means we will be receiving a tangible item. Service means it is intangible, we can only feel. For that we have seen few examples. And what could be, that means based on what only we can produce the product. That's called as element of cost. So for us, the learning from this session is element of cost for producing a product, then element of cost for providing a service, and what is the difference between product and service, and basically the thing is what is a cost. In our next session, we will see why cost is required. That will give us the advantages why many organizations are using cost as a predominant thing to take a decision. That we'll see in our next session. Thank you.